G'day guys, Tools20 here and welcome back to Parkitect. Today's build is going to be focused on the younger members of our guests for Dollarwoods. We have mostly thrill-seeking rides in this theme park, so most of the rides are pretty hardcore. Actually, they're not that hardcore, but we don't really have anything for the younger members. So we've got the carousel here, and we've got a motion simulator, but that's about it. So I think that it's about time we start plopping down some sort of kid area where there's mostly flat and gentle rides, and I'll also probably put in some sort of small roller coaster. I'm thinking maybe potentially putting in the junior coaster or the mini coaster. I don't really know. I haven't really played around with those ones that much, so I'll have to think about which one I end up placing down. But I've just been researching quite a lot of the gentle rides, the calm rides, and look, they're not too bad. I'll probably end up putting down one of the twisters as well. I have made a couple little changes to the park as well. I've built one of these top spins just to generate a bit of money. Actually, let's just crank that up a bit. And that'll probably end up staying, but I've just done a real basic theming for that one. As we start creeping around this mountain here and connecting back up to there. And I've also just been purchasing bits of land too, which has been crazy expensive. I did not expect it to be so expensive. I had to actually take out a loan as well, which I really didn't want to do because I only just paid one back. And this one's so expensive. But in order to build this area over here, which is where all the gentle rides are going to be, I had to get some more money. So a few changes. I've also been cranking through the years up to year 17, so we are actually getting a pretty decent amount of years in this park, which sort of makes sense. And I think that's all I've changed, really. Yeah, okay. So the kid area, it's going to be around here. Generally, the kiddie areas are around the entrances because they're aimed at the younger members or the families, and you know, that is, they don't really want to go all the way to the end of the park to get to, you know, especially if they've got little legs. So I'm going to be building it around here. And the source of inspiration for this area is not a Six Flags theme park. And I'm actually going to drag it over like that, which is pretty, no special effects at all. So this is Movie World. If you're Australian, you're probably well aware of Movie World. It's a pretty decent theme park, probably one of our best, if not the best, in my opinion. Has some decent roller coasters. I mean, this one's a very generic roller coaster that you see in pretty much every theme park. Inverted, I can't remember the actual proper name of it. Superman Escape is pretty epic, and we also have this one which I haven't ridden yet, and you can see how technical I'm getting. I don't even know the name of these roller coasters. And then we've got this super epic roller coaster that sits around here that's only just been built but not quite updated yet. And we can't forget about this Splashdown Mountain too. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. This is what happens when I play this game. End up flying over theme parks and getting totally distracted. The focus is probably the least exciting area of the park, to be honest, but it's the focus for today's episode, and it's this area here, which is the area that is aimed at the younger people for, you know, the younger guests. And the reason why I've chosen this place is because I'm pretty familiar with it. I've been here a few times, and I just like the general layout of it. I really like there's this one path coming into this area here. The flat rides are very, I don't know, just pretty generic. I mean, it's going for a bit of a deserty look to it. I think it's aimed, yeah, there you go. It's a Looney Tunes area. All the rides are like Looney Tunes based. So we've got like the Road Runner. Actually, this roller coaster is called the Road Runner, and it's actually a pretty decent roller coaster. So I think I'll build something kind of similar to that. But yeah, I mean, every ride's just pretty normal, which I'll be popping down in here. And I don't know if I'm going to build this yet, but in this building here is a splashdown water ride, and there's quite a bit of theming to like Looney Tunes, and then it has like a very gentle drop at the end of the rides, and it's pretty cool. But I don't know, I might build something similar in this kid area. I don't really know. I'll think about it. but I was generally going to go for an area that looks a bit like this. So that's the aim for this build at least. It will look a bit different because the layout is pretty different. And I don't have heaps of room, so I might have to buy up some more land. Alright, wish me luck. Alright, I'm gonna get into the time lapse. Okay, so obviously now that I'm recording the time lapse commentary, I have obviously finished building, and something that I can reflect on is that I totally didn't anticipate how little room that I had to build in this area. I don't know, that's something I'm still struggling with this game, is just the idea of how much space that I have to build in a particular location. I thought I was going to build a roller coaster in that bottom corner down there, but that area was so tiny. This whole area, in fact, is really small, and I just wasn't able to build all the things that I thought I was going to. So I talk about a splashdown mountain, that Looney Tunes ride, and I thought I was going to be able to build something like that. There's no chance I was going to build that. I really didn't have enough room. So that's still something I'm getting used to. So don't be expecting any kind of water ride or log flume. I didn't have enough room for that, but I did manage to fit in a couple of rides quite strategically in this area. So I did put in this gentle car ride, just kept it pretty, the footprint pretty small, and I put in probably about 3 or 4 different flat rides, and at the end I do build a roller coaster, which I'm really proud of. I think it turned out pretty nice looking. And in terms of like the general theming for this area, I wanted it to be really mixed. I didn't want there to be one particular theme, because I guess the type of theme park that we're building here is, you know, it's not like a Warner Brothers world, or it's not a Disney world. It's kind of like just a very generic theme park that just has a lot of different rides that have, you know, very generic theming. So, you know, there's no particular area that has like a Wild West theme or like a space theme. And I wanted it to be the same for this gentle area too. So this ride does have a like a Western Canyon theme to it, but that's pretty much it in terms of everywhere else. And you'll see the other theming that I go for with the other rides in this area. And the next theme park that I do end up building, which I have to admit I've already started planning and just started working on a map. That one's going to be featuring a lot more theming and will be, you know, a bit more of a larger style theme park with a much bigger budget than this one. This is most probably just an independent theme park, whereas the one that I'm working on at the moment would probably be some sort of theme park that has a fair decent amount of cash, and it's probably not just specializing in theme parks, whereas this one's, you know, this is probably like a theme park that's been built from the ground up. You know, probably started off as something quite small and is now what it is today. So just keeping the theming quite generic at this stage. But I do love how this flat ride turned out, this little car gentle ride. At first I didn't know how I was going to theme this, and I just kind of took ideas from the one that actually sits in that Looney Tunes area in Movie World, because I think the theming is quite on point and thought that it fits pretty well. These rocks, I'm really happy with how these turned out. Just recoloring these rocks, you can really achieve quite a lot of different themes, I guess. I actually always forget about these things, and then when I, you know, because obviously I started building using those shapes, just building that backdrop, and so I was thinking, how am I going to build the rocks at in the middle of this area? And, you know, of course there was rocks in my inventory, so that was great. Also, if you're new to this series, I am using purely only the vanilla assets, which has been totally fine for the time being. In the next series that I end up doing for Parkitect, I'm going to be using pretty much just custom ones, of course, as well as the vanilla ones too. And man, they are just beautiful. Now that I've started playing with the new ones, they are just so amazing. So yeah, look forward to that. But I shouldn't talk too much about the new series because we're still a little while away from starting that one, or at least me releasing any footage from that one. At least know that I have started work on that one, and I'm already really proud of it. So because I don't have enough room for a roller coaster in this corner like I thought I was going to, I decided to fit in a canteen that I think I ended up making the food burgers and chips, but I could be wrong. And I thought I'd just create a bit of a dining area out the front here and color the ground texture just a little bit different. Using just the concrete path and just coloring it this yellow color is something that I experimented quite a bit in this episode, just changing the colors, because generally I'm going for that gray footpath look. But I think because this is a bit more of a kid area, much younger audience around this area, I thought to keep the colors a little bit brighter. And, I think the texture turned out pretty cool. So I think I'll be doing that a little bit more in other areas of this park too. But also just trying to squeeze in a backlot for this shop too, because I'm kind of out of room and there's no real way of hiding any footpaths for the haulers to get around. That ship is long sailed. I am totally out of room, and the actual flow of this theme park kind of means that a lot of the haulers have to walk through footpaths. Generally they're not going underground, they're not using back roads like the game wants you to. So the biggest complaint in this theme park at the moment is that guests are really annoyed that they can see the haulers carting food and goods around, and that's a real struggle. And I could probably just have an underground footpath going to this one shop, but I do feel like that's a bit unrealistic, having one underground footpath going to this one shop. And whereas something that you'll see me do a little later in this episode, I think I'll do it in the live play, I end up making an underground footpath going to that main building where that motion simulator sits, and that makes a bit more sense because there is quite a lot of shops within that area. And something else you see me playing with that I haven't really used before is I am using this new tree that I didn't really know existed. Obviously, scrolling through the different assets and the trees that I could use for this map, I decided to go for these pine trees, these pointy ones, and I thought they were the best looking ones. And yeah, there was actually this tree just hidden in my inventory, and I didn't notice it because I think it was colored pink, and I didn't really even think about recoloring it. But then I saw the Masked Bandit, and he was using that tree in one of his builds, and he just colored it into this green color, and man, game changer. I am now using this tree everywhere. This is the nicest looking tree. I wish I used it in the whole map because I think it's way better than these pine trees. But yeah, now that I am using this, I'm using this whole area, and I'll probably end up creating a lot more of these trees around the rest of the park, just sort of wedging them in wherever I can. But still, the pine tree is probably the most dominant tree in this theme park. It's probably the native tree for this area, but quite often in these sort of developed areas, like either around cities or around theme parks or business parks, there are a lot of introduced trees, so the surrounding bushland around here is all this sort of like pine tree. That's the natural trees for around this area, but then these other trees are, obviously probably more introduced to this one particular park. And right now I'm working on the theming for this magic carpet ride. I decided to steal Silverite's technique and go for a theming like this. I think it fits in really nicely for this magic carpet ride. It kind of gives it a bit of an Aladdin feel to it, just really reminds me of that sort of theme. So, stealing a lot of the techniques that he used in that desert theme, he did a couple of weeks ago, and I think it turned out pretty cool. These turrets definitely don't turn out as nice as what he did, but the general gist is there. I had to put my own spin on it because I was using these shapes, and they the whole reason why I decided to put these turrets there, I'm calling them turrets, but I don't really know the right word I should be calling them. But I am using these just to hide the clipping from those trees that you can see sneaking into the boundaries of this park. I couldn't delete them because they were sitting out of reach, and so I had to cover them up using these shapes, which was fine because I think it needed a bit of theming to this area too. And now I'm working on the roller coaster, and this roller coaster, I think it's a gentle roller coaster, could be wrong, but I thought that this would probably be the most appropriate roller coaster for this area. and again taking some ideas from the Roadrunner at Movie World, but I do go on a little bit of a different tangent because I had a little bit more room than the Roadrunner has, and I also wanted it to go for a little bit longer than that roller coaster because it's quite a short ride, but at the same time I did want to keep it, you know, a little bit shorter than what a lot of other roller coasters are like overseas. I don't know, Australia seems to have the world's shortest coaster rides. We have this one roller coaster at Movie World and it's over in like 10 seconds. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, I feel like all roller coasters never go for long enough, and I am still trying to stay true to that idea because I feel like people tend to go a bit crazy with how long roller coasters are in this game, even in Planet Coaster and Roller Coaster Tycoon. I always think that people make roller coasters go for way longer than they realistically do because, you know, obviously making a roller coaster is quite expensive, and if they just make them really short, then people still line up to ride them regardless. So, you know, tried to keep this one on the shorter length, but then also much longer than the Roadrunner. And you know, just try to keep that real circular motion because I think that these gentle roller coasters really fit that theme, just these tight bends and these helixes. So was trying to keep with that sort of emotion, and you saw me, you know, I was pretty quick with building this because a lot of the footage was me building something and then deleting it and then building and deleting. And I don't think you want to watch that. I think you probably want to see the finished product more than my design process. I might be wrong. Hit me up if you want to see more of me deleting and building, but more like building and deleting, not the other way around. But yeah, I just decided to stick with just the finished product. And I am doing a live play at the end of this so I can show you a little bit in more detail of how the roller coaster actually functions and my design ideas for this thing. But I really liked how it goes over this footpath. That was something that I wanted to achieve, and my original design didn't have that, so I'm glad that I ended up changing it so that it did fit in like this. And it's not perfect, but you know, I think it works pretty well. And in terms of theming, I decided to give this a jungle theme, which there's quite a few different assets that I can use, vanilla assets that I can use to design a jungle theme for this area, and I just decided to give it a whole bunch of trees too because we are getting to the outskirts of this theme park around this area, so I thought that it needs to sort of go into a little bit more of the nature side of things and spread out a bit more. So I think the jungle theme fits in quite well. And it now means that we have a real mixed bag of theming for this area, but it might be a little bit of a tie-in. Like we might be able to call this whole particular kid area like a, I don't know, rides of the world, or a, you know, each ride sort of represents a different sort of environment because we have this desert theme, we have this jungle theme, and then we have this canyon theme. So there might be some sort of link there. You might want to come up with some sort of idea for what this area is. I wasn't really thinking like that when I was building it, to be honest. I was just building in themes and wasn't even thinking about a tie-in. But as a whole, this whole area I'm really enjoying, and it actually makes me want to work in more themes in future projects. So I guess that's probably why I am moving on to whole themed areas in my next series, because, you know, this so far I haven't really been working in themes. I've just been working on rides and trying to get the detail work pretty on point. So yeah, anyway, we're moving into the live play, and I'll talk a lot more about the things that I didn't even mention in this time lapse. So yeah, I'll move into that now. Alright, so the cash flow is awful at the moment. We are drowning in debt. I've got just huge amounts of monthly bills coming in. I had to take out these loans to build this area, and I'm hoping that we are going to see a little bit more of a profit, because at the moment we're just dying. I've had to pause the research as well so that I can get a bit of cash coming in. So I reckon in the next episode you're probably going to see this year really cranked up to probably about year 28 or something like that, as I try to make a bit of cash. You know, that's all sort of part of this series, is that I wanted to actually really play the game and see how well I can actually make this work. At the moment, we're doing okay. I mean, we still are kind of far away from reaching our goals, but you know, whatever. We'll see how we go. In terms of what I've been building, I am so happy with this little gentle ride here. I mean, it's so unthrilling. It's such a boring ride, but I really love the theming, to be honest, and I'm pretty keen to be doing more of this theming in the future. How good's the glare on that? Beautiful. This is no name at the moment. None of these rides have names, so feel free to come up with a name for any of these and I'll pop them in later on. But yeah, this guy is pretty sweet. Here's the main entrance to this area. I love this little transition for the footpath around here too. That's pretty cool. So people come in, they're greeted with this cafeteria which has no food at the moment. I might need to hire some more staff, to be honest. Yeah, I think this is burgers and chips. Sorry, burgers and soft drink. I've been steering away from using the back streets. What are they called? The employee only paths, because I don't really like the look of them. I much prefer this and then sticking up a sign like that, and I think it works a lot better. About time, mate. I need to build a couple more of... I need to work on my zones a little bit better as well. There's a lot of admin stuff I need to do in this park. We have this magic carpet ride, which is not massively popular, but I really like the theming for it. I think it's pretty cool. I've been working on making these entrances a little bit longer as well, because people have been saying that the longer the entrance, the more that people back up and the more capacity, or the more you'll see completely full rides, which makes a lot of sense. I've been trying to snake them around like this one here, and this one's pretty long. I don't know if you saw me build that, but that's just a classic Dodgems. I think it works, kind of fits in with, you know, that fact that there's a big building. I don't know, maybe not. And this ride I actually did end up naming Jungle Boogie, just like the song. If that song wouldn't make my video go unmonetized, then I'd totally play it in the outro, but you're just gonna have to stick with the classic songs that I've been playing. In terms of its stats, it's doing alright. They love the decoration. I think the decoration's on point, and the general stats is fairly decent. The frame rate around here isn't very nice anymore. Yeah, some transitions aren't perfect, but I'm not really too worried about that, because, you know, I'm sure you've all been on rides that are pretty rickety at some points. I've really loved what I've done with these supports here. I've just given some vines going up here, and there's just a bit of vines creeping around in other locations. I mean, the theming isn't crazy on point, but, you know, I've just tried to stick in a couple of things that are a little bit jungle themed, and it kind of just makes a very small transition like this. Yeah, I love it. I'm really enjoying it. This whole area I think turned out pretty cool, and I also just put in this little bit over here too, going into this area here, which I think in the next episode I'm going to be placing down another cargo bay here, which obviously won't be functioning the way it probably should be, because, you know, we're not going to get any more cargo coming in. That one place is the only place where we're getting cargo. And speaking of that, I have placed a service road. Which icon am I looking for? Here we go. Underground. Let's hide a couple of things. Okay. We want paths. No, we don't. Okay. Anyway, we've got a service path going underneath all of this and going under here, which then takes it to this building here. So I'm going to be building up this building in the next episode, putting in some shops as well, so that way we can get some goods coming into these shops, because it's going to be a pretty big shop area, and that way people won't be complaining about seeing all those people, all the haulers carting things around. And I might even make another little entrance going into here. And I've just been detailing this a little bit, but, you know, nothing too major. And I think that's about it in terms of what I've been building. The park is getting pretty decent. It's looking like a proper theme park at the moment. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. People are enjoying themselves. We are losing people. We're losing cash. We're not doing very well, but in terms of theming and what I wanted to achieve, we're getting there. In terms of the next episode, I think I'm going to work on a roller coaster that's going to sit up here. And somebody mentioned a while back that I should call it Marble Mountain, based off my Marble Mountain series in City Skylines, which I think could be a perfect fit. So I think I might work on Marble Mountain roller coaster in the next one. But guys, that is pretty much it for this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you've enjoyed it, then please leave me some nice feedback, even just by rating up this video. That helps out heaps. So thank you for doing that. But until next time, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.